Hey guys, welcome back to Real Talk with Renisha, the podcast that aims to empower, inspire, and encourage you. And today we have an amazing guest. You already know that. She's hailing all the way from Connecticut. She is a sophomore in college, an A student, and she's enjoying her life as a college student, also while enjoying the aches and pains of adulting. Please welcome to the show the fabulous Miss Paris Samuel. Hi, Paris. Welcome to Real Talk with Renisha. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. How are you?
I am well, thank you. I am so excited to have you on because I've been wanting to do a podcast with a young person, young adults, because this is a podcast for everyone. Everyone can inspire someone regardless of their age. So I am so glad that you are here to give us older heads a thing or two on what's happening in your generation. Generation X is a big deal right now. I mean, Gen Z, hello, Gen Z is a big deal right now. And I'm definitely glad that you're here so we can have a little bit of insight on what you guys are up to these days. Is that okay?
Of course, that's fantastic.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. So you are a sophomore in college right now, and you told me pre-show that you will be graduating next year, which I think is absolutely amazing. So I know you're an A student. I'm sure you're on the dean's list. Tell us a little bit about what your major is in college, how you chose that major, and what's having you graduating an entire year ahead.
Yeah, I am a sophomore and I am graduating early. My major is psychology, and I chose that because I personally have dealt with mental health issues. And after seeing therapy, like therapists, multiple therapists, and then finally finding a good therapist that I enjoy, I realized that therapy is very important. And I just want to be a therapist too, focusing on trauma and crisis.
Wow.
And the reason why I decided to graduate a year early is because I'm just trying to get my life started already. And like you said, I am an A student and I am on the D's list and everything. And I just feel like getting finished with school faster is just the best choice for me.
Hmm. I kind of hear like someone wants to be adulting quicker than necessary. That's what I'm thinking of.
I mean, honestly, I feel like I've been adulting for a couple years now. I'm only 19, but I feel like I've been adulting since I was 14. So I'm just ready to fully be an adult.
I hear you. Well, technically, you are an adult, right? And that age group, which is amazing, you are learning so much. And I know being in school, being in college, you're exposed to a lot of different things, different cultures, and all that type of stuff, which also opens up your eyes to a whole lot. So, adulting can be a little bit different for you because you are out there. I know you're living, with a roommate on campus and stuff like that. All of those are great life experiences. And oh my gosh, I love the fact that you want to be a psychologist, a therapist. Hello. Hello, right? Why not? But you know what you said that made me even more excited about that is the fact that you've been to therapy. You've had mental health issues. And the best kind of therapists are those who've gone through some stuff, have
Mhm.
sat on the couch, right? And put themselves eventually where clients will be later on down the road. So I'm glad that you were able, not I'm glad you had a mental health issue, but I'm glad that you found the right therapist because I spoke to other guests on here. Finding the right therapist is like once you find that match, that key that fits the door, it's like, whoa, it makes so much more of a difference. And I'm glad that again that your generation is not staring away from therapy, like mine did for the most part.
Exactly. I feel like I said, therapy is very important. And I do love the fact that my generation is so open to it. Like I can tell my friends that I have a therapist and they don't bully me for it. Like they don't judge me for it. And even some of my other friends do have therapists themselves.
Mhm.
So I just feel like it's very important to try to heal generational trauma and trying to, you know, do better, not do better, but try
Mhm.
to do more than maybe our parents might have done in the past.
Oh my gosh, excellent. Excellent. Because yes, it's time to break all of those generational hurdles that has kept us back, whether as a people, whether as women, all of that stuff, culture. It's time to break that up. And if we need help, get help. So I'm glad
Exactly.
that, this generation, your generation is embracing that. And I also had a little bit older than you many many months ago on one of my earlier podcasts, also the Gen Z's, and she's also embracing that fact that therapy is not quote unquote for crazy people anymore. Everyone has a
Mhm.
therapist. And my next question kind of talks a little bit about that, because your generation, I also feel, has been probably the most impacted on the pandemic. So I want to hear how that has impacted you, whether it's your school life or your personal life. How has the pandemic impacted you, specifically, or your generation, or your learning, I should say, your academic culture?
I feel that for me and a lot of other people that I do know, the pandemic kind of affected a lot of people socially. And I've done a lot of research in classes and everything. And the pandemic actually, a lot of people have social anxiety because of it, because they're so disconnected from everyone. And I feel like personally, me too, I used to be so involved into my high school, but after the pandemic, I kind of broke off from that and was
Mm,
more into myself and more isolated, and it created a lot of problems for me. And I
yeah.
feel like now to this day still it's a bit hard for me to get involved with my school and get to know new people and introduce myself and everything, and even sometimes speaking in class, like answering questions or doing presentations, it's hard for me because I'm so used to being isolated during school times.
Mm,
And then I also feel like it also affected a lot of teaching because everyone is so used to Zoom calls and video meetings and doing
yes.
online exams, online quizzes, that it's
Mm,
easier for people to not really learn as well as they used to in the past. So taking
interesting.
online quizzes and online exams makes it easier for people to just not try as hard as they would have if it was an in-person exam. So I feel like it's definitely affected a lot. College, high school, middle schools, a lot of schools.
Very interesting. Didn't think about it from that perspective. And again, that's why
Mhm.
you're here to answer those questions for us, because we knew that, for your culture, your generation, actually, socializing is a big part. Not that with mine it isn't, but because we've been working for years and we're used to doing things by yourself, it wasn't as big a deal for us, I believe, in my generation, which I'm not going to say which one that is, by the way. Not gonna share my age on here, but I feel like for your generation, even the one before it, um, that socializing was a big deal. And I know that in part, most of your learning during the pandemic was definitely online, which now has been a great thing, right, for everyone. But the residual effects is what I'm hearing from
Mhm.
you. The residual effects of virtual everything per se is still kind of like overshadowing, even
Mhm.
though you guys are back to, in room learning. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's very uncommon to see a course having in-person exams. And
Mm,
actually, in one of my classes I have this semester, I do have an in-person exam, and everyone in my class is kind of scrambling because they haven't really seen this in a while. They've usually see online exams, and they're just
yes.
scared that they're not going to be able to pass. Like they're going to have to be in person. They don't know if like other people are going to be distracting them. So it's just a
Wow.
lot of issues. Yeah.
That's interesting. Again, just didn't think that it would even
Mhm.
affect, right? Had that kind of effect where now
Yeah.
visual learning, versus in room learning is such a different in-person learning would create such, anxieties to me. That's what it's
Yeah.
you become anxious because I know how to be online. I can go separate myself in my own room and focus. And now I might be in a classroom. What if someone sneezes and I'm not going to, it's like, am I going to distract me? Am I going to forget what I was going to? So it's like all of that
Exactly.
stuff never even thought that this would be an issue as we again continue to transfer back into, in-person everything, even like the job markets now. It used to be,
Mhm.
before again, all virtual, and now companies are demanding that their employees come back to the office. And I can see from certain
Exactly.
clients there is anxiety there in coming back now to the office as well. So again, didn't think about it from the school perspective, but yeah,
Mhm.
very, very good to know. Okay, great. What can you say so far has been some of your like your most difficult challenges in being a college student?
Um, I mean, like I said earlier, I'm very, I mean, I do think I'm very smart. I do have A's and B's. I've been on the dean list, the president's
Mhm.
list, all of that.
Yes.
And I feel like honestly, the most difficult part is just being social and being involved in my school. Like, I am in my second year and I only really have four close friends that I actually talk to
Mm.
on the daily. And even like sometimes just getting involved with like clubs and getting involved in like maybe parties and things like that. Like, I'm more reserved and more like anxious to get into that because
Mhm.
I'm just not used to being around so many people and I'm not used to interacting with so many people. Even in the end of my high school career, like I wasn't able to be involved with people as much as I used to be in my maybe freshman and sophomore year of high school.
Mhm.
So it's just
Wow.
very difficult sometimes for me to just get out there and like meet new people and interact with new people and interact with my campus in general. So
Interesting again, yeah, because this where you are right now is pretty much the training ground for going into the real world, right? And we know
yeah,
that when you work, you're going to be around, unless again, because now there are jobs that are completely virtual, like mine, right? Completely
yeah,
virtual jobs. But for the most part, you're going to have to be in a social setting, and it may be a little bit awkward because of all of the years that you didn't have that. So there might be a delay in that kind of
yeah.
stuff for that generation, for your generation moving forward. Very interesting. Very interesting. And what would you say you like best about being a college student?
I would definitely say it's the independence that I'm like I gained a lot more independence. I'm not living at home anymore. I don't have to report back to my mother. Like I'm very much more independent. I wake up by myself. I go to sleep by myself. I do my homework by myself. Like it's
Nice.
very a lot of like independence, a lot of responsibility, and I also have been able to learn a lot more about myself with this independence. I've been able to like learn about just being more determined about holding myself accountable and everything. So I feel like that's definitely the best part about being a college student.
Oh, I love that. Oh, yes. And we'll talk a little bit about adulting later, but that's all the elements because when you become an adult, guess what? You have to hold yourself accountable. You have to do all of these things on your
Mhm.
own. You can't be 20 something and have your mom calling you to wake you up to go to work in the morning.
Exactly.
Ain't nobody got time for that. And I know your mom don't have time for that. I know your mother. She
At
doesn't have
all.
time for that either.
At
So,
all.
so it's great. And again, that is what college is all about. I feel that you are even more independent when you go away to college than when you stay home and attend college and still living at home, have home, have school. Yes, you are independent, but you're even more so when you're outside
Yeah.
of your home because you literally have to take care of yourself. You have to eat, you have to do everything on your own. You got to do your laundry. You can't come home and say, Mom, I have laundry to do. You don't live that close. It doesn't work. So
Exactly.
if there's anything, I love that. Being more independent, absolutely. Now on to like a little bit more serious question. Um, we all know that over, gosh, several years, I would say, you turn on the news and we hear about shootings, school shootings, mass school shootings. And we're not just talking about college, we're talking about middle school, we're talking about
Hmm.
kindergarten. We have to talk about 6 year olds now, right? And
Yeah.
how has that impacted you? Because in my generation, when we went to school and we went to college, school was a safe place, right?
Hmm.
School's always been known. You send your child to school, they're relatively are going to be safe. We didn't have to worry about our kids going to school. And again, it doesn't matter the age group, right? Because it's from kindergarten all the way to college and beyond. How has that impacted you? Because I know in college, there's been quite a few mass shootings in college throughout the nation. How does that impact you so far?
Um, for one, I think it's a bit concerning because not a lot of people my age and younger really pay attention to things like that.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna lie, even I don't watch the news as much as I should or read newspapers or anything as much as I should. And I know a lot of people around my age don't do it either. So it's just a bit concerning because people aren't really too worried about it unless it's something happening around them or to them. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It makes sense. It makes sense. I know that some, okay, so for instance, I know, the elementary schools and middle schools, they have drills that they do just
Mhm.
in case this happens. Because again, school used to be a safe place. Certain neighborhoods used to be safer than others. And
Mhm.
now none of that matters. I don't care where you live. I don't care how prestigious the school is. It doesn't really matter. It can happen at your schoolhouse, period.
Mhm.
You know? Now, on your campus, are there drills that you guys are required to do? What is like a safety mechanism or whatever safety protocol looks like for like your college campus right now?
To be honest, even in high school, I didn't have any type of drills other than fire drills.
Mhm.
We didn't have lockdown drills.
Okay.
And even now in college, we only have fire drills for our dorms and everything. So, like I said, it's very, very concerning in terms of that because there's no drills. Like no one really knows about any of this. No one does research about any of it. And even our schools don't really worry about it as much as they should. To the point where even if we were put into a situation like that, no one's gonna know what they're supposed to do. No one's gonna know where's the best direction to go, what they should do, if they should hide, if they should run, like where they go. So it's very, like I said, very, very concerning.
I'm shocked. I
Yeah.
literally just assumed that every school in America
Mm-mm.
had something specific in place just in case. I really did.
I have not had any lockdown drills since middle school. Middle school and elementary school. That's the only time I did it. And then once I hit high school,
Mhm.
we stopped doing that. So I think it's even more concerned with my school specifically because even sometimes they let anybody on campus. Like they look at ID, but they let people go through. And even there's a bus stop right outside my school, and
Mhm.
people come off the buses and can just walk onto campus, and no one checks them at all. So it's like I said, like I feel like people aren't as worried as they should be until it happens. So
That's scary to hear, actually. It really
yeah,
is. It really is scary
terrifying.
to hear. It is. For me, that would definitely not do well with anxiety because that's scary to think because again, we know it's happening. And, of course, if there's a will, there's a way. That's the Caribbean scene, in me. If
Mhm.
people want to get on and do stuff, they will find a way. They've had doors been locked and they were still able to get in, but not knowing where to go, not having a drill to say, hey guys, if this happens, you go here, you meet here, I don't know. I just felt like that would make me very anxious to not know that there was any safety protocols in place if this was to ever happen on your campus.
Um, Even recently, I think it was my last semester or 2 semesters ago,
Mhm.
a man that went to school here, he kind of made a fake false threat, like an empty threat online saying that he was going to shoot up one of the dorm buildings. And our public safety officers didn't even inform us until maybe like hours after the incident already happened. So I just feel like people aren't taking it as serious as it should be taken, and
Wow.
people are making jokes. People aren't really thinking about other people's safety, especially schools and professors. Like people aren't really thinking about safety at all.
That's interesting. That is
Hmm.
interesting. Yeah. Yeah. Because this is the time when you take that precaution. Hey, if you never use it, fine. Nothing to worry about, right? But if you
Yeah.
ever did need to use and you don't have a plan in place, that's when it's chaotic and more people can get hurt or even die without a plan. So that's very alarming, to be honest. That's very,
Mhm.
very alarming to hear. I just assume because it's been happening so much more frequently now. And you made a point when you said people don't really care so much anymore because pretty much every week there's a mass shooting and we have become very desensitized
Mhm.
to that, to shootings in general, whether it's in school, whether it's in a mall, whether it's in a grocery store. It's like, hey, it's just another one. And we just keep it
Exactly.
moving. So I kind of feel like that's what's happening now. We've heard it so much, it's happening so frequent that it's like, okay, it's just another shooting, and everyone just keeps going.
Exactly. And
Scary.
that's why I feel like that needs to be changed for sure because the fact that when we were in middle school, well, my generation was in middle school and elementary school, we'd have drills at least twice a month. But now all of a sudden we're in higher grade levels where it's probably more important to talk about it because it's more people can have more access to
Yes, yes,
firearm and
yes,
everything. And
yes.
we don't talk about it because we're so I guess used to it.
Scary. Scary
Mhm.
times. And speaking of age, we're going to go into the next question. So you are at that pivotal age, you're 19 years old. And what you just said about, being in a higher learning education setting where people have easier access to firearms, you can buy a gun at your age, but you cannot you
Mhm.
cannot buy alcohol and you cannot buy tobacco, but you can buy a full out rifle at your age. That's scary.
Exactly.
That's scary.
Exactly. I think it's very hard to be in between the ages of like 18 and 21 because you're just you know that you're an adult, but you're not treated as an adult to
Yes.
society, or
Yes.
maybe not even your parents are not treated as an adult. So
Yes.
you're trying to figure out where you're supposed to go, what you're supposed to do, like what your responsibilities really are because you can't do too much once you hit 18, but everyone says once you're 18, you're an adult. So it's very confusing. It's very hard.
So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about that whole confusion in the adulting phase. And even after 21, you're still adulting, probably up until about 25, you're still adulting, for the most part, just trying to,
Mhm.
navigate, that independence. And I know that a lot of students after college, they become really, really anxious because they do not know how to navigate between being a student and being a
Mhm.
full-fledged employee somewhere or full-fledged my own apartment, my own car, my own everything, and just, adulting. So that's what we're going to talk a little bit about right now. So you talk about it's confusing. Yes. So you're an adult, technically and legally, but not really again, because if you were to, you can buy alcohol, you can buy tobacco. And if you were caught drinking or smoking, depending on where you are, you can get arrested or you can get a fine.
Mhm.
So it's like, okay, well, I am an adult, but the big BUT's in the middle, and then here are the exceptions as to why. How do you feel about that?
I think honestly, it's very hard because for my first year of college, I kind of lost myself a bit because I wasn't sure what I should be doing. I was working at the time,
Hmm.
but I was struggling balancing school, balancing work and everything. And now I feel now that I'm in my second year of college, I'm getting more of an understanding of like where I stand in society and in life in general. And
Hmm.
I am taking on more responsibilities like bills, I'm working and going to school and everything full time. So it's just like I feel like you need that time. Like when you
Yes.
need 18 between 21 to
Yes.
figure out how to be an adult. I feel like that's the most important years of your life to figure out how to be an adult and how to navigate life and how to do things by yourself, pay your own bills, get your own
Yes.
car, pay your own car bills, like
Yes.
just doing everything like that.
Yes. It's hard. It's
Yeah.
difficult. It's a difficult transition for a
Yeah.
lot of people, a lot of young people, you know. And if you have, parents or guardians who are, open to that and who are, really understanding you, that's good too. But if you have the parents who are you know, from certain cultural backgrounds where it's like, you're still a
Yeah,
child. I don't care how old you are. You could be 18 or 19. You're still, and they still treat you a certain way. Then it doesn't help. It doesn't help that growth because it makes it even harder. Well, I'm still a child, but I'm still expected to do adult things, but I'm
exactly.
not an adult really in some settings and in some standard. It can make it very difficult. So it is that phase in your life where the transition is a little bit more difficult than later on in life, but it's all a learning process. You learn,
Yeah.
you learn. What do you like about it, adulting?
Not much, except for being an adult, I guess. I guess being independent. That's
Being
maybe the best part
independent.
about it, but it
Yes,
is so difficult. Like even trying
yes.
to now that I'm going to be turning 20 this year, even trying to let my family and my parents know that I am an adult and I'm doing adult things. I'm being independent. I'm very independent. It's hard to kind of rip yourself away from the child label. It's very hard to try to do that. So I feel like it's very difficult. Like I said, like this time of your life is very difficult. You're trying not to be a child and you're trying to be an adult. You're trying to rip away from being, a child and everything and being more independent. So
Yeah. And just know for your parents, I don't care how old you are, you're always going to be their child. So you're always going to have that role, right? As you're somebody's daughter, right? You're always going to be somebody's child. But they also have to see that she's my child, but she is an adult. And it
mhm.
is hard. It is hard for parents as well. I'll say
Yeah,
this. It's hard for parents as well to let go and give that child that autonomy to be a full-fledged adult and do things their way. That's the other thing.
yeah,
Because we still want them to do things our way because we're the parents. We have to let them do it their way now because they're running their own life now. They're independent now of that parent. And it's hard for
yeah,
parents to let go. So I feel like it's a two-way street. It's a struggle for the child, but it's also a struggle for the parents as well to let go. So I'm saying this to like, give your parents some grace. That's what I'm saying. All of this to say because it's hard for them too. It really is
yeah,
for them too.
yeah.
Okay, cool. Moving right along, how do you envision your future? What do you think your future is going to be like? You are the generation again that's gosh, you guys grew up on the cell phones. You guys grew up on electronic devices. Now it's all about AI and how that's becoming
Mhm.
more and more popular. And I'm sure like you guys already are into that kind of stuff. I'm seeing like all of these freaky things. People are walking on the streets with these eye masks, these
Yep.
virtual. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is that? And I don't want anything to do with that. But of course, your generation will embrace it because that's what you guys do. So tell me, what's your vision for the future and what mark do you think your generation is going to leave on this planet?
I feel like I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I envision my future as, but I know for a fact that I do want to work with adults on healing trauma, past trauma or current trauma as well.
Yes.
And I also want to work in like I want to work in hospitals for crisis, like mental
Mm,
health crises.
yes. Yes.
So that's definitely the my short-term goals, but I also like eventually want to travel. Of course, like everyone wants to travel. I want to see the world. I want to see different cultures. I want to see everywhere basically. So that's definitely like my main goals, but I feel like my biggest goal for our generation and to like in all is just to I guess give ourselves grace and just teach each other that we don't have to have everything together at we don't have to have everything together at once.
Yes.
We need to,
Yes.
give ourselves grace and realize that we only live once and
Yes. Yes.
yeah.
How do you see technology and stuff like AI and that kind of stuff? How do you see that impacting your guys' generation? Because I think there's going to be flying cars in your generation. I really think so.
Honestly, I think I think that's kind of a little scary to be honest.
I
With
think it
all the
is
flying
too, but
cars
it's
and
coming.
everything. Yeah.
I heard it's coming, so
Um,
you know, it's not gonna be for me. It's gonna be for you guys because I won't be doing any of that stuff.
I mean, I think it's pretty interesting, but at the same time, I don't think that's gonna be the best for everybody, especially with AI in general, because I've had multiple conversations in classes about this. But
Mhm.
AI is going to eventually take everybody's jobs, basically.
Oh
Like
my God.
AI is used for writing stories, writing books, writing movies, TV shows, like even there's also AI like psychologists and everything, like people, AI people who write your papers and everything. So
Yes.
it's like I feel like it's definitely gonna just overthrow everything. Honestly, like I feel like people need to focus less on technology and focus more on human interaction.
Yes, 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 yes. Oh my gosh. Can you imagine, you know, the computer sitting here doing this right now? No human
Exactly.
component. They sound human, but there's no human, there's no heart, there's no human component here. So yes,
Yeah.
please, more humanism than electronicism.
I think
That's not a thing.
that's gonna do like the same effects that the pandemic did for us. Like it's just gonna make
Yes,
people way more disconnected from life and way more disconnected from each other because
yes.
we're not gonna have that social interaction.
Well, you know, I feel like every decade, every century, everything from like my parents' generation to my generation, everything now is easier.
Yeah.
But easier doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Because when
Exactly.
some things are easier, like you said, there is no human contact. I can sit at home and I can do everything on my computer. I can order
Exactly.
food, I can shop, I can do everything on my computer and never leave my house and have real human contact and real human engagement. And I feel like that's a big piece, huge, huge piece that's going to be missing. It's going to be missing.
Yeah,
If you're sitting here with an AI therapist, there's no human component.
exactly.
It's programmed. You cannot tell me you're truly you're understanding my trauma from my childhood as a computer sitting here.
Exactly.
There's no emotions. You can't build emotions in. I'm sorry. You can't. You know, it's a human thing. So I feel like, yeah, yes, everything is easier and we're so much more advanced, but it takes away a lot of the human component. It takes a lot of our emotions, that emotional piece, that getting together with friends and family, and it takes away that
Hmm.
relationship. And that's huge. It's a big, big, you know, part of our element as human beings to lose to machines.
Yeah. I feel like even with everything being so easy, people are less motivated to really do anything because they know they can just get it done very last minute. People aren't motivated to write. People aren't motivated to be creative because they know they can just search something up and get
Wow.
a creative response out of it.
Yeah.
So,
Wow. Again, it's like, oh my gosh, it's so hard to hear. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? Because it's like you miss out on so much. You do. And you'll never know because you've never had to do it. So you don't even know what you're missing out on, but you really do.
exactly.
You really do. Paris, I'm so enjoying this conversation with you. This is awesome so far. Tell us a little bit about you, your hobbies, your passions. What does that look like? That's not AI
um,
generated.
for one, I'm very passionate about mental health in general. I'm very passionate with people speaking out about their experiences, connecting with other people, and just overall connection. Like I'm just connected with earth, connected with each other, connected with yourself. Like that's everything that I'm very like passionate about.
Yes, yes. Well, you're definitely going to go into a field where you'll get to use that because
Yeah,
you got to have compassion as a therapist. You got to have empathy as a therapist. You got to, you know, to be a people person because you're not speaking to machines, you're speaking to a live human being who's telling you their stuff, who's trusting you to
exactly.
hold their stories. So yes, you're coming into one of those fields we call the helping field, the heartfelt type of fields. And it does take a different kind of person to be in a field like this because it's not a selfish field at all. You know,
Yeah,
when you're helping people, it's not a selfish experience at all, So glad to hear that. Yes, help, 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 help. There's so much people that need help in this world. Absolutely. Absolutely. So you're a busy college student. Tell me, what does self-care look like for you? How do you balance that?
Um, I feel like self-care to me is just putting yourself first before putting other people.
Hmm.
Because if you're not okay with yourself and you're not in a good energy and a good mental space, you're not going to be able to do anything for anybody else. So for me, I take time to myself. I take time to read to myself. I take time to journal actually, just to listen to
Mm.
myself and hear myself and
Yes.
just know myself so I can learn other people, you know?
Love it. Yeah, I love it. It's important. And again, because of the field that you're going to be going into as a therapist, as a counselor, and all of these help fields, again, we're finding that it's even more difficult
Mhm.
for help care providers to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
So it has to be a priority. And I'm glad that we're even talking about it at your age, because if you develop that now, taking time for yourself now, before you even go into any field, into any job, any career, continue that routine throughout your lifespan.
Mhm.
And of course, it changes because we want to do different things, Our hobbies might change, our passions might change, our, stuff might change, but continue to prioritize yourself because it's so important, right? Um, Most of us will help everybody else and deplete ourselves daily.
Exactly.
And then we'll come home to families, friends, loved ones, and we have nothing left to offer. And it shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't be that way. It should always be a healthy balance. But what I understand also is the culture that we live in. People are working. I have clients who are working 70-hour weeks. You know,
Yeah.
we are working so much more, I find, than ever before, that we really are depleting ourselves because we really have no energy left at the end of the day to even do anything for ourselves. And I feel like that is such a hard cycle to break
Mhm.
right now. But I kind of feel like, listen, if that is important to you, then you have to find the job, the career that you're making sure that self-care is going to be able to be maintained at the end of the day. You
I
kind
feel
of
like
have to. It's so important.
my bad, I apologize, but
So,
I feel like that is a very, very difficult thing for people to do because like you said, people are working more.
yes,
People like in this economy in general, like it's just very hard to be able to prioritize yourself and focus on yourself and your mental health when you have to work and go to school and maybe take care of children at home and everything.
yes,
Like it's very hard to concentrate on yourself.
it is. It is. And because of that, people are more and more stressed out. People are
Hmm.
just frustrated. They don't know what to do. People are having mental breakdowns because they're so stressed. They're so overwhelmed by it all. Childcare, school, work, demanding boss, family. It's a lot. It's a lot. And somewhere in all of that, I'm still saying, you got to find time for you. Somehow, somewhere, you got to find time for you because
Hmm.
all you're doing is hurting yourself.
Hmm.
All we're doing is hurting ourselves. And if it's that, 15, 20 minutes a day, I have to go out and just meditate somewhere. I got to go and just do a walk somewhere, whatever. You have to make that a daily thing because at the end of your day, you're depleted. There's nothing left. And you still have kids and probably a family, husband, whatever to take care of. And you and
Exactly.
you and you and you have nothing left. Literally, you have nothing left. So it's difficult. It's a difficult balance. It's a difficult thing to do, but it has to be done. It has to be done. It has to be done.
Hmm.
That's my whole screw on that. It absolutely has to be done. For instance, I'll just put myself, working from home. People are like, oh, working from home is easy, but it's not because you work more. You work more because you don't have to commute, that type of stuff. So you do work more. But I'm like, no, whoa. If that means I have to see one or two or three less clients for me to maintain a
Hmm.
better self-life balance, self-care balance, then I have to. I have to. I have to prioritize that. So I'm going to prioritize making more money or taking care of me. And taking care of me is always going to win because I can do with whatever I make. I can make it work, you know? So that's sometimes, and sometimes those are the kind of hard decisions people have to make, you
Hmm.
know? Do I want to work overtime or do I want to work my shift and be home for my family? Sometimes we need the overtime to pay bills, you know? So it might be once in a while I might do the overtime, but not all the time because my children, myself, is important, you know? So those are like adult lessons as we are adulting here. Those are things that you're going to have to figure out later on down the road when you do become an adult.
Hmm.
You're going to have to.
I do experience some of that already because, like, as I said, I was working and I do go to school full time.
Hmm.
And while I was working, actually last semester, I was working 36 hours a week, going to school full time. And
Wow.
I also live with roommates, my other three other friends of mine.
Yeah.
And I was just struggling being able to balance, spending time with them, taking time for myself, and also focusing on school and work.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
I was very unhappy. And I thought I was happy because I was able to make more money and, I was still able to keep up my grades and everything. But at
Hmm.
the end of the day, I would wake up, go to class, go to work, do homework, and just not focus on other people and focus on myself. So I feel like now that I did take a step back from work and
Good.
now I am still focused on school, but I'm also
Mhm.
focused on myself. I'm focusing
Yes.
on interacting, hanging out with my friends, and just, doing things that like fulfill me and doing things that make me happy and doing things that make me feel good. And I feel like people think that they need to do everything so fast nowadays. So they don't take time to slow down and just focus on the present and be mindful in the moment instead of thinking about how it's gonna help them in the future.
Love it. Absolutely. Well said. Absolutely. Yeah. So you're learning that lesson now. We have to make
Mhm.
that choice. What's important? Me killing myself doing all of these things, or just like taking a step back and being present. Because the one thing I'll tell you is you're never going to be 19 again. You're never going to,
Exactly.
right? You're never going to have all of these lived experiences again. It doesn't come back around. The older you get is the more responsibilities you have. Your life doesn't come back to being a college student and not having to worry about
Mhm.
certain things. Absolutely not. So this is the only time in your life that you get to really be this person right now. And
Yeah,
to give it all away for work or anything else, you're never gonna get this time again to be with your friends. You know, once you graduate from school, everybody goes their own separate ways for the most part, you
exactly.
know? So yes, be present, live in the moment, and enjoy your college years. That's when it's over, it's over. And because you're graduating early, you're losing an entire year. So you really have to like live. This is your last year. This is like your last full, I mean, in the next semester, next term. That's it. That's it. So you really have to like enjoy where you are right now.
Yeah,
You're losing an entire year, like literally an entire.
exactly. That I feel like that's also another reason because I found out maybe like last year that I
Uh-huh.
could graduate early if I take extra classes during the summer. And I was like, okay, like this is when I need to stop working. Like I need to focus on, actually living. I need to focus on actually enjoying my time in college.
Love that. Yes. This is it. You're never going to be the stage again. Enjoy every
Hmm.
moment of it. 20, enjoy every moment of it. You don't get to relive these experiences. Oh my gosh, this has been so amazing speaking with you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Is there anything else that you want to leave with our audience today, Paris? Anything at all for, other young people your age who are going through things, who are struggling? Anything at all that you want to leave with them?
Honestly, I just want everyone to really focus on themselves, focus on mental health, and realize that you don't need to do everything right now. Like you have more than enough time, especially at this age. I felt that I needed to do everything right now. I need to do everything right away. But
Yes.
when I take a step and, be more mindful. I realize that I have God, I hope like I have maybe 50 years, 60. How old am I? 20.
I hope
Wait,
more.
hopefully I get like 80 years, 80 years of life. Like I don't need to focus on getting everything together right now. So I just feel like everyone needs to realize that they don't need to do everything all at once. They need to slow down and really live life and enjoy life.
Yes, I'm so glad you said that because I feel like most people in your age group, or even a little bit older, they feel like they're missing out. Oh, I can't wait to
Mm-hmm.
get to this age. I can't wait to. You're not missing out on anything. You're missing out on
Exactly.
stress. You're missing out on more work. You're missing out on headaches. You're not missing out on anything. You're really not. You're really not because you're going to get there in your time. You're not missing
Mm-hmm.
out on anything because there's nothing new under the sun. So it's like, well, if I don't do it
Oh.
now, I won't get to do it at that age. People rave about being 21. Oh my God, I can't wait to start drinking. You're going to be drinking from 21 till you die. Please.
Exactly.
We don't have to drink every single liquor at 21, 22 because we're like, oh my God, I have never done this before. And I get it, right? We're excited, but it's not, liquor ain't going nowhere.
At all.
It ain't going nowhere. It's gonna be there from the age of 21 till you die. It ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere. So take your time and enjoy. Don't get stupid with it because oh my gosh, it's this big deal. It's not going anywhere. And I feel like people at that age group, they really feel like they're missing out. I'm like, nothing. Don't rush. Don't rush to grow up because everything after this age is I mean, life is great, but it becomes more
Very
stressful.
repetitive.
The more independent you become, right? The more reliant on yourself, it's a little bit more difficult. It's a little bit more stressful, So enjoy being a 19-year-old, enjoy being a 20 or 21-year-old, enjoy being an early adult, enjoy it. The older we get, is the more stress we're going to have. Life is great, but it becomes a little bit more difficult. And then we have no excuse. Well, you're 30. There's no excuse for a 30-year-old. At least 19, we're like, okay, she's 19, she's still naive, she doesn't really know a lot of stuff. You can still give you that, excuse. But at a certain age, you don't have that anymore. So you
Hmm.
take the time where you are now to learn. You're learning to be an adult. And I love that. You're seeing how difficult some of it is where you are right now. And it doesn't go away.
Yeah.
It doesn't go away. It gets more difficult as you get older, but in a good way because now you have more experience as well. So you can manage better as well. So I love that. Like you're saying, don't rush. Don't rush to do everything. Take time for yourself and enjoy where you are at this stage in your life. Amazing. That's all I can say. Oh my gosh. I know we got to wrap this up, but oh my gosh. Paris, thank you so much. This was such an amazing conversation, getting your perspective of the Gen Zs, right? On what's going on right now with your generation and just you as well, as an individual person, what you're doing to leave your mark, to start making your mark, I should say, on this planet. And I just love the fact that you want to be a therapist and you're so passionate about mental health.
Mhm.
Mental
I'm
health.
very grateful, so grateful that we were able to talk for real. And I feel like it also helped me get a better perspective about everything else too.
Absolutely. That's why we're here. We're here to talk. We're here to inspire people, empower
Mhm.
people. If there's anyone out there who's listening who thinks, oh my gosh, I have to do it all my own because I'm 18 and oh my gosh, we're like, relax, take it easy, take a step back,
Exactly.
focus, be present. It will all work itself out. No need to rush. No need to rush. All right. So, Paris, thank you so much. Again, we're going to wrap up the show. Guys, thank you so much for watching. If you haven't already done so, please hit that like and subscribe button at the bottom of this channel here. And I will see you guys in the next episode of Real Talk with Renisha. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Have an amazing day. See you next time.